1, 2, 3, 4.
He's called the happy convert. He used to be a Gentile. Then he went before a Bed-Din, and they accepted him. Then he went into the mikveh. Then he came out of the mikveh. Then he went home from the mikveh, and he looked into the mirror, and he said, "Now I'm a Jew." And he was very happy. Welcome to his Parsha commentary.
So today we're going to look at Parshat Eikev, or as it's known in some scholarly circles, Eikev. Parsha starts with a really beautiful verbal contract, lots of nice words and nature references. It continues and continues until finally we come across something strange. Hidden amongst these sheaves of corn, olive trees, herds and flocks are 3, or maybe 2, or maybe 4 strange animals. And it's these animals I'm going to have a look at today. Deuteronomy 8:15, or Deuteronomy VIII, as it says here in the Sonsino Hamash. Who led thee through the great and dreadful wilderness, wherein were serpents, fiery serpents, and scorpions. Okay, just stop and consider this for a second. Serpents, fiery serpents, and scorpions. I'm not sure which one sounds the scariest. Probably the fiery serpents. So first of all, let's look at the Hebrew. Nachash, Saraf, Ve'akraf. In biblical Hebrew, the singular can also refer to a category of animal. Just like in English, we can say, we could equally translate this as the serpent, the scorpion. Or the serpent, the fiery serpent, and the scorpion. Now, the first interesting thing we'll notice in the JPS, or the study edition I've got here, it's a very fine publication. Who led you through the great and terrible wilderness with its seraph, serpents, and scorpions? Okay, so in case you missed that, the JPS thinks there are just 2 animals. It thinks there are seraph, serpents, and scorpions. And we can see straight away how they came to this conclusion. They've taken the word Nekash Seraph, and they've decided, well, this is clearly one creature. There's not a Nekash and a Seraph. There's a Nekash Seraph. Behold, the Nekash Seraph. And it could be either in biblical Hebrew. I've had a quick look in the Dungeons and Dragons Monstrous Manual to have a quick look. I thought I could find one of these fire serpents. This is the closest I've come up with. The fire snake, or I should say flame snake. I don't know if you can see that. It's a pretty serious looking creature. Flame snake. A flame snake instinctively tries to kill or incapacitate enemies at range, spitting fire at its prey. Only when its prey is badly burned does it slither in to kill with a bite. Pretty serious business. I decided to investigate this matter a bit further and look in the Biblia Sacra Vulgata, also known, or more commonly known as the Vulgate. The Vulgate was written by Jerome, or Saint Jerome as he's known in Catholic circles. My Latin is not as good as it was. Inqua erat serpens flatu adorens et scorpio Dipsas. Okay, listen. The first thing I noticed here, he says, and Dipsas. Dipsas, what's the Dipsas? This wasn't here before. Now, I happen to know that in Greek mythology, a Dipsas is a serpent whose bite causes a terrible, terrible, terrible thirst. Causes one to lust after water. Down. I won't embarrass myself by translating the Latin. I've got a translation here. The Dewey Rhymes, Latin translation. Wherein was the serpent burning with his breath? Okay, so that's like the fire serpent. And the scorpion. So we've got two animals. And the Dipsas. The Dipsas. I've investigated how Jerome could have come up with this Dipsas. Let's look at the. Let's go back to the Hebrew first. Nekash, Seraph, Ve'akrav, Ve'tzimaon. Okay, Ve'tzimaon. This is, and the Sonsino translates this as the thirsty ground. Pretty sensible. Let's see what the JPS says. Seraph, serpents, scorpions, a parched land. So, I had a look at the Greek. Jerome translated his Vulgate from Hebrew documents, but it's known that he referenced the Greek occasionally, especially where things were ambiguous. So, the Septuagint says, who brought thee through that great and terrible wilderness, where is the biting serpent and the scorpion, and drought. Okay, so drought, the thirsty land, the drought, and dipsa. Okay, drought in Greek, or great thirst, is dipsa. So perhaps Jerome consulted the Greek and thought, well, clearly we have a dipsas. I'm not sure what was going on there. Or perhaps he was just simply referring to the drought. Or, there is one more theory, perhaps the Hebrew document Jerome was working with, perhaps there was a scribal error, and it read Nekash, Seraph, Ve'akrav. Now this next word, Vatzimaon, perhaps the V was missing, and it read Nekash, Seraph, Ve'akrav, Simaon. That would kind of mean drought scorpion. And a drought scorpion, the nearest thing Jerome would have known to a drought scorpion is a dipsas. Who knows? There were some pretty serious creatures out there in the desert that the children of Israel had to contend with. Last year, I had a real big problem with wasps in the flat. Every day there were wasps in the flat. And I don't like to kill wasps. I like to catch them with a cup and try and put them outside. But there were just so many last year, it became a real irritation. And imagine that times 1,000. You've got something of an idea of what it was like out there in that desert. Have a good week.